Welcome to Smoke Signals, everyone. I'm Matt Montgomery, along with head football coach and athletic director Jason Holman. Jacksonville at home Friday night for homecoming. Pine Tree rolling in. Coach, last week, tough game. I mean, it's just one of those games where it just seemed like everything that could go wrong went wrong, especially in that first quarter.
Yeah, definitely. We had some injuries that went wrong too. For 2 weeks now we've let the first quarter get out of hand, and it's been a meltdown in virtually all three phases of the game, and we've let the game run away from us. And when you do that, then the adversity is at a max, and we've not responded to it very well. Some of it is us not challenging people like we need to, particularly on the defensive end where we had some opportunities to make plays, but because we're not aggressive, because we're not challenging people, particularly in the passing game, we let some things slip by us later on, and they're going to make catches sometimes that are really really good catches. I mean, they're athletes too, and case in point, later in the game, Jermaine Taylor went up with number 12 and battled him pretty physically.
About as good as you could.
And the guy came down with the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's the everyday, down in, down out type of play where we've got to learn how to be more physical and come to the game ready to play at a high level.
Yeah, I know that coaches, and especially you don't make excuses. I mean, you want to do that. I mean, last week was a tough week. Illness is going on. I know that schools have to deal with it too, but there was a lot of sickness. You yourself were ill, and so that was a lot of things that kind of threw things off. And then I sound like I'm making an excuse. You drive up, it's 110 degrees, and it's tough. You've had kids that have been sick, and I know that those are things that you have to overcome. And then when you match that with a pretty talented Crandall team, the results were there.
And they're a good football team.
They are.
Certainly capable of, when you give them the opportunities we gave them with turnovers and special teams faux pas. They're gonna take advantage of that. So the excuse part. This is homecoming week. All kinds of opportunities for excuses, for distractions, and then the message that I gave the team yesterday was we can't let that affect what we have to do on Friday night. We got to understand that homecoming is about the game, and that game is us, and we've got to be ready to play. And any and all distractions, we've got to put out of our mind and be focused on Friday night.
As we look at highlights in just a moment, Coach, you look at the statistics right there, and it just, again, another game where your offense just didn't have a chance to get on track. And again, I keep going down to those turnovers down there at the bottom three.
Yeah, and we've got to be a little more patient offensively too. And I understand. I mean, the game got out of hand early. I kind of thought we pressed a little bit too much early. I mean, at some point we've got to put drives together and go establish something. We had opportunities to do that. I mean, when you go back and look at the football game, and we moved the ball, and we were in striking distance of scoring position several times. We just can't execute long enough to get it there. And there were some drop balls. There were some bad throws in there too. I mean, it's a combination kind of several factors that we've got to find a way to make good on some plays, so that we can get the ball rolling and get some scoring going on.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Jacksonville versus Crandall. Here's great pressure from Trent Powell.
Yeah, it's a good job of Trent getting through and getting in the quarterback's face, and that's one of the things I mean by aggression that we've got to bring to the table.
Good field goal here on a low snap. Jesus.
Had a low snap, got a good job getting it down and got it through.
Here's Jordan Dorsey, gets better every week, runs him down.
Active, plays hard all the way through the game.
Here's Dede Mares, little 13-yard run. We'll see him more in a minute.
This is kind of what I'm talking about. At times we move the ball, and here's JB too. At times we move the ball running the football, and we've talked about that before. We've got to be able to do that to be successful. 34-yard
run here. Here's the touchdown by Reese Hicks from 3.
Yeah, that allowed us to get into a little bit of tempo as the game was going on by getting first downs.
Here's the good news, bad news thing. 65-yard touchdown by Drew Dowles, and injured at the end of the play.
What an outstanding play, and great effort out of Drew. I mean, what happened at the end of it was, super unfortunate. I don't know that anybody can necessarily prevent that, but great play.
Tough run here by Dede, 16 yards, kicks it to the outside.
Yeah, good job, good vision, saw the cut to the back door, picks up some good yardage for us.
So, Coach, moving on from Crandall, you got your last non-district game. You mentioned it's homecoming, a lot of distractions. This is a Pine Tree football team coming in 1-2. They had a weird weekend last week playing Kilgore. They had to come back on Saturday morning and finish that with the weather. Talk about the Pirates. This is a much better Pine Tree football team than they've had in years.
Yeah, it's a good team. They've got some talented kids offensively. They're big and physical up front. They've got some running backs that'll take it to the house on you if you let them loose. They've got a quarterback that if he gets loose, he can go to the house on you. Got a good receiving core, so our plate's full. Defending them, we're going to have to do a great job of being more disciplined, staying at home on the backside of run plays and things of that nature, and not let them out. More importantly, we've got to compete, and we got to compete at a high level. We can't be afraid of getting up in their face and pressing them on the outside at the corner spot. We've got to be aggressive inside and fit in the run. I mean, we've got to bring a level of aggression that we haven't exhibited in the past 2 weeks to compete with them. From a defensive standpoint, their front three are good. They're physical. We've got to be able to move the line of scrimmage. We've got to be able to put some bodies on them and occupy them and, get our running game going, executing our passing game. We've got to be able to move the football. Our biggest problem in the last couple of weeks is not won on first downs offensively. We got to put ourselves in a hole because we're not successful on first down, and it kind of jams up the whole thing. If we can be successful on first down, then we've got an opportunity to kind of get into some of our tempo stuff and stress out the opponent. Yeah,
it kept you from getting – you just get 1 yard, 2 yards on first down. You can't do the up-tempo stuff. Yeah,
you got to be successful, and then you can tempo them when you need to. You can apply a little more stress and pressure on some people, and tiring them down and get them worn out, kind of like we did in the first game of the year against Sulphur Springs. I mean, that's our kind of our roadmap, so to speak, of getting towards some success that we've got to get back to.
So Coach Cuellar's offensive line probably has their biggest challenge, I think, looking on paper for the year. This is probably going to be the best defensive front you've seen this year.
I would say so. And we've got to be a little more physical up there. We've got to be able to move people, and we're going to do a good job of game planning them and trying to put where we can double team people and move them, put 2 bodies on them, that sort of thing, when we can, and mix it up between the run and pass on first down some, but find a way to get some wins on first down so we can get in our rhythm.
Coach, it's your last non-district game before it starts for real next week when you head over to Athens. What would you like to see? I mean, I know you obviously want to get the win, but what do you need to see Friday night to say, okay, we're ready for district play, we're ready to go?
Well, we've got to come out executing from the get-go. We can't let the first quarter unravel on us and send us spiraling downhill like we've done the last 2 weeks. And that, a lot of that is just, it's execution, it's effort, it's a mentality to start the football game that we've got to come out striking. And you can't ever play the game fearing to lose. You've got to play it with the mentality of, this play, my mind is on what I'm doing right now at this moment, and, competing at a high level on every single snap. When you let that doubt sink into your mind, or you let, worry about getting beat or getting embarrassed or any of that sort of thing start sinking in your mind, then oftentimes you fulfill your own prophecy right there. And we've got to get away from that mindset. We've got to be competitive and, and stay in games. I mean, that's the main thing. If we can do that, and we can keep our momentum going, then we can compete. And we showed that in the first game. We got to get back to it.
Coach, I went to practice yesterday and didn't look like the tempo and the attitude of the players that you're 0-3. I mean, they had good, the coaches, the kids, everybody was working hard. There was good attitudes. It was physical, and there was some, very physical play going on. I know Mondays are days where you're just trying to, get things in sync, but I was impressed just with the attitudes, what I'm trying to say, by everybody.
I think our attitude's good. We had a good day yesterday, and a lot of it is let's get this out of our system and let's move on. We all know we're better than what we're playing. Let's put that behind us and let's go show it. And, I thought we had good effort from our coaches, good effort from our kids. It was up tempo. The weather helped us out.
Yeah,
It was
it was
nice
nice.
and cool, and
Yep.
that's refreshing too. It's homecoming week. There's things to be excited about, and it's non-district. We haven't performed like we want to, certainly, but it's still non-district. They don't start counting until a week from now, truly. So there's still a lot to work for, and there's plenty of ways of salvaging a season that started off, on a rough note with games 2 and 3. So we've got to put this behind us. We've got to move on.
Keys to the game to get the win.
Yeah, like I said,
You've kind of already said it, but
Yeah.
let's summarize it.
yeah, stay in it. Come out ready to play. Come out ready to hit them in the face on the first snap, and execute in every phase of the game. Keep the game within reach where we can be competitive, and that involves taking care of the ball on offense, keeping on top of them defensively, not allowing big plays, and then executing the kicking game, which we just got off the field after about an hour of doing 2 phases of the kicking game. So we're trying to really hammer down on that. We've had a little bit of disruption in that area with some of the injuries. We're having to continually sub people in, and we've got to get some stability there where we can improve week in and week out instead of having to change the lineup week in and week out. But yeah, that's the key. Stay in it and compete, which we're plenty capable of doing. We've just not exhibited it the last 2 weeks.
It's homecoming, Jacksonville versus Pine Tree. Kickoff coming up at 7:30 for head coach Jason Holman. I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.